Hey everybody, welcome to the CNOTE audio extravaganza. Happy Monday. Hope you had a good weekend. Welcome to the show that is kind of like being late for work, which I am right now, in which only I really care about it, and it doesn't matter when I get there. I didn't really work on that joke. Anyway, I hope you had a good weekend. Mine was pretty okay. Pretty good. Not bad. I just had a lot of work to do, so I guess that's the okay part of it. But I like the work that I do, so it's cool. Pretty satisfied with one of the things I was doing. The other one, I didn't get to finish it, so I'm going to be hustling today to get that done. But I'm not at a good start because I am late for work. Not late for work, but later than usual. I will probably still get there on time, but I likely won't have time to stop and get some breakfast. Which, I was going to grab some fruit from the fridge. I have like these frozen fruit things that I grab. I forgot to do that. Oh well. Anyway, yeah, I hope your weekend was good, and hope you did something productive or enjoyable. I don't know, whatever you want to do. This week is probably going to be a short week for me because I got things to do later in the week. I will be busy, so we'll see how that goes. Even today, I don't really have a topic, so I'm just going to pull one out from the top of my head, and that is going to be being honest with yourself. That's a good one. It's one I've been thinking about a lot lately. I think it's something that we don't do very often, and that we should do more. Making sure that we're being honest with our feelings, with how we feel in the current moment, how we feel about things coming up, how we feel about our reactions to things, how we feel about really any of that. What kind of brought this to light for me was we recently did an improv game last week when I was at improv, where we had to express our feelings in the moment. Like the first time we did it, we basically would be honest in the moment as we felt it, like as people, not as characters. So that was actually a challenge. It was surprisingly challenging for everybody because you had to kind of express the emotion and then express why. So it wasn't really like it was often an interesting misinterpretation of what that meant. So it was almost like, I feel like you're not paying attention to me, or I feel like I want to jump off a bridge, or whatever, and not really expressing the emotion, but expressing the reaction to that emotion was usually the first thing that happened. And I thought that was kind of fascinating, that was those two examples were just kind of really loose ideas, that those are not things that people actually said. But I think it's fascinating that people's first reaction was to do that, was to state the action associated with the emotion and not the emotion itself. It wasn't like, the intent was for somebody to say, I feel sad, therefore I don't want to be here. Something like that, right? Usually it skipped the middleman, where it was like, I feel like I don't want to be here. Which is interesting, because that leaves room for interpretation. So I thought that was kind of fascinating, even just within an improv sense. And then we would take that and express it within a character. So we would, one scene that I was watching, I wasn't in the scene, involved like, I feel sad because you don't want to make spaghetti art with me anymore. And that's kind of, the scene kind of evolved from there, which I thought was interesting. So each time each person would speak, they would have to express their emotion and then state why or their reaction to the emotion. So it would be like, I feel disappointed in who we are as people. That is why I don't want to make spaghetti art with you anymore. And then it got into this, it got kind of serious, but had some funny moments because it's spaghetti art. The one guy suggested pizza, then the other guy was upset because he suggested pizza, and this is all about spaghetti art, and none of that makes any sense. So what are we even doing here? So I thought that's interesting. So I'm going to talk a little bit about being honest with yourself and why you should do it. So let's do this.
Drums, please. Southwest, Southside, right, now here it is.
So if I'm being honest with myself, I forgot it was 9/11, which kind of goes against the whole never forget slogan. I didn't really do that on purpose, but quick 9/11 story. Well, I don't know, mine's not very exciting. I was in Spanish class in high school. I was a junior. I believe I was a junior in high school, and I didn't really I wasn't able to comprehend the reality at the time. I don't think. I was so immersed in how terrible Catholic school was that I just remember them turning on the news stories throughout the school and saying that the building was on fire, and I don't know. I don't remember believing that it was real at the time. It just didn't really sink in to me until I really watched a lot of recaps later, and really just the follow-up for the next few days, the next few weeks, really. And then when, like, David Letterman went on the air and talked about everything, and he was the first late-night host to come back on the air and talk about it, I think then it really started to sink in as this, like, crazy reality. Because, I was disconnected from it, and I was watching it through a TV, and I was a young kid. I didn't care about people. So it was kind of a weird thing to see, and not really able to grasp the reality of it. So it's also my dad's birthday, so happy birthday to my dad. If you want to show him some love, sure. He's not gonna listen to this, but happy birthday, Dad. Appreciate you. Anyway, being honest with yourself is super important. I think it's something I've always prided myself in, but in a lot of ways we form habits amongst ourselves and to our peers and our family that are habits that don't allow for that. Usually it's immersed in poor communication, or trying to shield ourselves or other people from some sort of emotional break or emotional difficulty. So we end up not really being honest with ourselves and with others about how we feel in a present situation, which often detracts and makes the situation worse when you're not being clear-cut about how you feel in the moment. If you want someone to not talk, then say, I don't want to talk. If you want to talk, say that I want to talk. If you're feeling tired, say, I am tired. I don't want to do this. Like, it's when you want to express yourself, express something to another person about how you feel, you have to be honest with yourself about how you feel first. Because you're often, I know it happens super rapid fire and so quick, and our brains move really fast, but there is that quick second where you have that affirmation, that affirmative moment in your head where you're like, yep, this is what I feel, or this is what I want to say that I feel. And you have to put that check in place for yourself to look at the situation and say, am I being real about how I feel about this? Or am I putting filters on it? Am I being biased about a situation? Am I looking at it from an angle that doesn't make sense? Is this truly what I'm expressing or how I'm feeling? And I think good things happen once you're able to do that. Even in a negative sense, when you're arguing with somebody, or you're having family difficulties, or you and your spouse are not doing very well, I think it's important to be able to express how you honestly feel in that moment. Even at work, I've had days at work where I'm just like, I'm not feeling great, and rather than shield myself and say, hey, I feel fine, everything's great, but everything's on fire around you, like, that doesn't help anyone. I think if you even express how you're feeling, so I've had times where I've gone into our stand-up meeting in the morning and I said, hey, I'm not feeling really great this morning, I apologize if I'm grumpy, but that's what it's going to be. And often people have respected those boundaries as a result of that, and if people don't respect those boundaries, then there's a bigger problem. And sometimes they'll go out of their way to cheer you up. They'll go get you something. They'll try to make you feel better. They'll tell you a joke, and all because you were honest about how you feel. And you can't allow that sort of thing to happen if you can't be honest about how you feel to yourself, and then to others as a result.
If you've been dying to start that podcast about doves, or about your favorite jacket, or about a long-lost love, or a murder mystery about a cat who murdered everybody, you can start it now on Spotify for podcasters. I've been on Anchor for a long time, and now it is officially Spotify for podcasters, and it has been a platform that has been growing for forever. And I love it, and I still use it to this day, and it has hosted this podcast for 500 plus episodes now. So I highly recommend it. It is free to use. Spotify for Podcasters lets you record and edit podcasts right from your phone or computer. So no matter what your setup is like, you can start creating today. I'm literally on my bed recording on my, the phone is on the bed, and I'm just talking, and it's not that complicated. And then you can distribute your podcast on Spotify and everywhere else that podcasts are heard. So video podcasts are available too if you want to show your pretty face and have people see you. You can do all that too. So just do it. It's totally free. No catch. Give it a try. Spotify for podcasters. Let's go.
There's really no logical sense tied to not being honest with yourself. Because when you're not honest with yourself, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good to say you're happy when you're sad. It doesn't feel good to pretend to be depressed when you're fine. It doesn't feel good to tell someone that you're okay with the situation when you're not. It doesn't feel good. It's a temporary shield. It's a band-aid that doesn't fix anything. It doesn't help. And I think for some reason, over time, we've somehow created this perception that this is the case. That somehow lying to ourselves and lying to others, particularly the people that we love, for some sort of fear of judgment or ridicule or ostracizing for some dumb reason, usually some social pressure that they don't even understand, it just doesn't, none of it makes any sense. It really doesn't. If you just think about it logically. Why lie to yourself? It just doesn't help. It just doesn't feel good. So why not just be honest in the moment about how you feel? This is more of like a plea to just stop yourself. Stop right now and say to yourself out loud, what is the current emotion that you feel? Not the first emotion that comes to mind. The first emotion that you actually feel. What is it that you feel? Are you hungry? That's an emotion. I count that as an emotion. Are you hungry? Are you horny? Are you sad? Are you tired? Are you angry? Are you upset about something? Are you disappointed? Are you stressed? Are you feeling unloved? Are you feeling very loved? Do you feel insecure? Do you feel very confident today? Do you feel driven? Do you feel motivated? Do you feel like you have to kind of stop and remember that you're a human being and emotions are part of that. I think this is particularly important for men because we often are told to not feel emotions, to not show them, to not express them. But we have them. And often, because we bottle them up, they come out in anger, which for some reason is not seen as an emotion, but it is an emotion. Those dudes that get angry at the end of the night because they didn't get laid are showing emotion. That is their disappointment manifesting in anger and wanting to fight some random dude. Like, that is an emotional response. And they need to be honest with themselves that they're disappointed, which might lead them to not being so angry. Because then you can maybe find some, comfort in saying, alright, I'm disappointed. I guess I'll go to bed and try again tomorrow. But point being, and I don't have much more to say on this topic, so it's just going to be a short podcast today, but really just practice it. Practice it today at some point. Stop yourself, set an alarm for every 2 hours, and remind yourself of how you're feeling in the present moment. In the present, the very moment, this now. Especially if you're talking to somebody and you're working through a problem, somebody keeps jabbing at you, somebody keeps trying to accuse you of things, people keep trying to throw things at you. You have to express how you feel. Express that you don't want them involved. Express that you do want them involved. Express that how you feel about their presence in a situation, how you feel about your presence in a situation, how you feel about really just being as most granularly honest as possible. I'm amazed that I said granularly without a problem. I don't even think that's a word, but still, that's an easy word to screw up. Granularly. See, like that could be bad. But anyway, just be honest with yourself today. Practice it. I want call-ins for this one, because this is one that I know all of you do not do as much as you should. I know it, because it's a human thing. It is not exclusive to any one person or not. I'm lucky to be a person that is typically honest. I don't deal with people's bullshit, and I'm very straightforward. But with that, please give a call in. I would love to hear your thoughts on this topic at Rival My Design if you are not on Anchor. And on that note, I'll talk to you later.